Let me tell you something straight up. This idea that everything always works out for you. It's not about blind positivity. It's about how you choose to operate every single day. Because here's the truth. Most people are walking around already defeated. They haven't even started. And they're thinking about what could go wrong. They're playing defense with their life. But when you act like things are going to work out, something powerful happens. You start making different decisions. You take the meeting. You send the message. You post the content. You try again after you fail. And yeah, you will fail a lot. But instead of sitting there crying about it, you flip it. You say, good. This is part of the process. That's the game. See, people misunderstand confidence. Confidence isn't, I'll always win. Confidence is, even if I lose, I'll figure it out. That's what this mindset is really about. When you act like everything works out for you, you stop fearing the small stuff. You stop overthinking. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, which, by the way, never come. And now you're in motion. And let me tell you something, motion creates clarity, not thinking, not planning forever, doing. A lot of people want guarantees. They want a roadmap that says, if I do this, I'll succeed. That's not how it works. What does work is showing up every day with the belief that no matter what happens, you're going to turn it into something useful. You lose a job. Good, maybe that pushes you into something better. Your idea fails. Good, you just learned what doesn't work. Someone rejects you. Good, you just got redirected. This isn't luck. This is perspective. And perspective is a skill. Look at people like Gary Vaynerchuk. What makes them different isn't that everything magically works out. It's that they decide it will, and then they act accordingly. That's the edge. So here's the takeaway. Stop waiting for proof that things will work out. Start acting like they will, and then put in the work to back it up. Because when you combine belief with action, that's when things actually start working out. Mindset shapes action in ways most people completely underestimate. The way you think is not just some abstract idea floating in your head. It directly controls what you do, how you react, and how far you're willing to go. If you wake up every day assuming things won't work out, you automatically hesitate. You second-guess your decisions. You delay taking action. And you start looking for reasons to hold back instead of reasons to move forward. That hesitation compounds over time. And before you realize it, you've built a habit of inaction. On the other hand, when you operate from the belief that things will work out for you, your behavior shifts immediately. You start saying yes more often. You take chances that others avoid. You become more willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations because you trust that even if things don't go perfectly, they will still lead somewhere valuable. This doesn't mean you ignore risks or become careless. It means you stop being paralyzed by the fear of failure. People who believe things will work out don't wait for perfect timing. They understand that clarity comes from doing, not from overthinking. So instead of sitting around analyzing every possible outcome, they act. They send the email, make the call, launch the idea, or start the project. And because they take more action, they naturally create more opportunities for themselves. There's also a psychological advantage here. When you expect positive outcomes, your brain starts looking for solutions instead of problems. You become more resourceful, more creative, and more resilient under pressure. Challenges don't feel like dead ends. They feel like puzzles to solve. Over time, this builds momentum. Small actions lead to small wins, and those wins reinforce your belief. That belief then fuels bigger actions, and the cycle continues. It's not magic and it's not luck. It's a pattern driven by mindset and behavior working together. What most people don't realize is that success often comes down to who stays in the game long enough. And mindset is what determines whether you keep going or stop too soon. Confidence attracts opportunity in a way that feels almost invisible until you start paying attention to it. It's not just about looking self-assured on the surface. It's about the energy you bring into conversations, decisions, and environments. People can sense when someone believes in what they're saying and doing, and that belief makes others more willing to listen, trust, and engage. When you carry yourself with certainty, you reduce friction in interactions. You're not constantly seeking validation or approval, which makes you appear more grounded and decisive. This has a direct impact on the kinds of opportunities that come your way. When you speak with confidence, people are more likely to take you seriously. When you present an idea with conviction, others are more inclined to support it. It doesn't guarantee success, but it dramatically increases your chances of being given a shot. Most opportunities don't go to the most talented person. They go to the person who shows up ready, communicates clearly, and demonstrates belief in their own ability to figure things out. Confidence also changes how you position yourself. Instead of waiting to be chosen, you put yourself in situations where you can be seen. You reach out to people, you share your work publicly, and you step into rooms where you might not feel fully ready. That visibility is what creates momentum. If no one knows what you're capable of, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. Confidence pushes you to remove that invisibility. There's also a compounding effect. When you act confidently and take action, you start gaining real experiences. Those experiences, whether they succeed or fail, build actual competence. That competence reinforces your confidence, making it more authentic over time. It becomes less about pretending and more about knowing you can handle challenges because you've done it before. Another layer is how confidence influences perception. People often mirror the signals you send. If you appear unsure, they become unsure about you. If you project belief, they're more likely to believe in you as well. This doesn't mean being loud or arrogant. It means being clear, direct, and comfortable standing behind your ideas. Over time, this creates a powerful loop where confidence leads to opportunity, opportunity leads to experience, and experience strengthens confidence, allowing you to operate at a higher level without constantly questioning your place or your potential. Failure becomes feedback the moment you stop attaching your identity to the outcome. Most people take failure personally. They think if something doesn't work, it means something is wrong with them. That belief creates fear, and that fear slows everything down. It makes you avoid risks, avoid trying new things, and avoid putting yourself in situations where you might be judged. Instead of growing, you stay stuck protecting your ego. When you shift your perspective and start treating failure as information, everything changes. You begin to see every outcome as useful. If something works, you understand what to repeat. If it doesn't, you get clarity on what needs to be adjusted. Either way, you gain something valuable. This removes the emotional weight from failure and replaces it with curiosity. People who operate this way move faster because they're not wasting time dwelling on what went wrong. They extract the lesson and apply it immediately. They ask better questions like, what specifically didn't work? Or what can I do differently next time? That level of self-awareness allows for constant improvement. It turns every attempt into a stepping stone instead of a setback. There's also a practical advantage. The more you try, the more data you collect. Each failure gives you insight that someone who never tried simply doesn't have. Over time, this creates an edge. While others are still overthinking their first move, you've already gone through multiple iterations, refining your approach with real-world feedback. This mindset also builds resilience. When you stop fearing failure, you become harder to break. You're no longer discouraged by temporary losses because you understand they're part of a larger process. You expect things to go wrong at times, so when they do, it doesn't shake your confidence. Instead, it reinforces your commitment to keep going and figure it out. Another key aspect is detachment from perfection. When failure is seen as feedback, perfection stops being the goal. Progress becomes the focus. You give yourself permission to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn in public. That openness accelerates growth because you're not waiting until everything is flawless before taking action. Over time, this creates a cycle where every failure contributes to your development, making you sharper, more experienced, and better prepared for the next opportunity. Consistency beats motivation because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes depending on your mood, your environment, your energy levels, and even small things like how well you slept. If you rely on motivation to take action, you're setting yourself up for inconsistency. You'll show up on the days you feel inspired, but on the days you don't, you'll hesitate, delay, or skip entirely. Over time, that inconsistency adds up and slows your progress more than you realize. Consistency, on the other hand, is a decision. It's a commitment to showing up regardless of how you feel in the moment. It removes the negotiation you have with yourself every day. Instead of asking, do I feel like doing this? You operate from, this is what I do. That shift eliminates wasted energy and mental friction. You don't need to convince yourself each time. You just follow through. When you act with belief that things will work out, consistency becomes easier to maintain. You're not looking for immediate results to justify your effort. You trust that your actions are building towards something, even if you can't see it yet. That belief keeps you moving during the slow periods when nothing seems to be happening on the surface. There's also a compounding effect with consistency that most people underestimate. Small actions, repeated over time, create outcomes that look massive from the outside. Posting content regularly, practicing a skill daily, or working steadily on a project may not feel significant in the short term. But over weeks and months, those efforts stack up. The gap between someone who is consistent and someone who is not becomes extremely wide over time. Consistency also builds discipline, and discipline creates freedom. When you train yourself to follow through on what you say you'll do, you gain control over your habits and your time. You're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You can execute even when things feel difficult, boring, or repetitive. Another important aspect is identity. The more consistently you act, the more you start to see yourself as someone who shows up no matter what. That identity reinforces your behavior. You don't want to break the pattern because it's now part of who you are. Over time, consistency turns effort into results, and results reinforce the belief that your actions are working, making it easier to keep going without relying on temporary bursts of motivation. Resilience gets stronger when you operate with the belief that things will work out for you, because you stop treating difficulties as permanent setbacks. Most people experience a challenge and immediately assume it defines their situation. They get stuck in the moment, overanalyzing what went wrong and imagining worst-case scenarios. That reaction drains energy and makes it harder to recover. Instead of moving forward, they stay mentally trapped in the problem. When you trust that things will work out, your response to adversity changes. You still feel the impact of challenges, but you don't stay there for long. You process it, learn from it, and shift your focus to what you can do next. That ability to move forward quickly is what builds resilience over time. It's not about avoiding difficulty. It's about reducing how long difficulty controls you. This mindset also changes how you interpret setbacks. Instead of seeing them as signs to stop, you start viewing them as part of the journey. You expect resistance, delays, and unexpected outcomes, so when they happen, they don't catch you off guard. That expectation reduces frustration and helps you stay composed under pressure. You're less likely to react emotionally and more likely to respond strategically. Another important factor is emotional control. Resilience is closely tied to how well you manage your thoughts and reactions. When you believe that things will work out, you create a sense of internal stability. You're not constantly shaken by external events because your confidence isn't based on everything going perfectly. It's based on your ability to handle whatever comes your way. There's also a cumulative effect. Each time you face a challenge and push through it, you reinforce the belief that you can handle difficult situations. That belief becomes stronger with every experience. Over time, things that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable. You build a track record of overcoming obstacles, and that track record becomes a source of confidence. Resilience also allows you to stay in the game longer than others. Many people quit not because they lack ability, but because they can't handle the emotional weight of setbacks. When you develop resilience, you remove that barrier. You keep going while others stop, which naturally increases your chances of success. It also improves your ability to adapt. When things don't go as planned, you're more willing to adjust your approach instead of giving up entirely. You stay flexible, open to change, and focused on finding solutions, which makes you better equipped to navigate uncertainty and continue progressing despite obstacles. You create your own luck more than you think, and it starts with the way you approach effort. A lot of people look at successful individuals and assume they were in the right place at the right time, as if outcomes are mostly random. What they don't see is the volume of action happening behind the scenes. Luck often shows up as a result of repeated exposure, putting yourself in situations where something good can happen. When you believe things will work out, you naturally increase your level of effort. You reach out to more people. You try more ideas and you take more shots. Each of those actions increases the surface area for opportunity. If you send one message, your chances are limited. If you send 50, the odds shift dramatically. It's not guaranteed, but it's no longer left to chance in the same way. This is where optimism becomes practical. It's not about hoping something good happens while doing nothing. It's about using belief as fuel to keep taking action. That action compounds over time. You build connections, gain experience, and develop skills, all of which make it more likely that when an opportunity appears, you're ready to take advantage of it. There's also a pattern to how opportunities appear. They often come through people, and people respond to energy. When you show up with enthusiasm, curiosity, and a willingness to engage, you leave an impression. Others are more likely to remember you, recommend you, or include you in opportunities. That visibility plays a huge role in what looks like luck from the outside. Another factor is preparation. What many call luck is actually preparation meeting opportunity. When you've been consistently putting in effort, you're in a position to recognize and act on chances that others might miss. Without that preparation, the same opportunity could pass by unnoticed or feel overwhelming to handle. You also become more adaptable. When you're taking constant action, you learn to adjust quickly based on results. That flexibility allows you to pivot when something isn't working and move towards something that is. Over time, this increases your efficiency and sharpens your instincts. The combination of belief, effort, visibility, and preparation creates a cycle where opportunities appear more frequently and you're better equipped to take advantage of them, making it seem like things just happen to work out in your favor. At the end of the day, this entire idea comes down to one simple but powerful choice: how you decide to show up in your own life. Acting as if everything will work out for you doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing a mindset that pushes you into action instead of holding you back in fear. Because when you think about it, every single point connects. Your mindset drives your actions. Your confidence opens doors. Your failures teach you. Your consistency builds results. Your resilience keeps you in the game. And your effort creates the opportunities people call luck. Most people are waiting for the right moment, the right feeling, the right guarantee. But that moment never arrives. The people who actually move forward are the ones who decide to act first and figure things out along the way. When you operate with the belief that things will work out, you stop needing constant reassurance. You stop overanalyzing every step. You start trusting yourself to handle whatever comes next. And that trust changes everything: how you think, how you act, and how you respond when things don't go your way. It's not about controlling outcomes. It's about controlling your effort, your attitude, and your persistence. Those are the things that over time shape outcomes in your favor. So instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? You start asking, what if it does? And what am I going to do to make it happen? Because the truth is, things don't just work out for people who wait. They work out for people who show up, take responsibility, adapt, and keep going until they make it work.